Last week, Kevin Durant dropped a bomb on the NBA world hours before free agency began, announcing his trade request from the Brooklyn Nets. After only 3 seasons in Brooklyn, which included missed shots, guys refusing to take a shot, and an embarrassing sweep in the first round, Kevin Durant has basically said he's had enough of being a Net and wants to move on from the drama in Brooklyn. And with this unexpected trade request, KD has sent shockwaves through the entire NBA that has affected almost every NBA team's front office in their offseason decisions, and even free agency right now. I'm not gonna lie, free agency has been cooked and dead since KD decided to let the world know he wanted out. Teams aren't signing anybody, with KD becoming available for trade, and this has virtually made every viable GM put their thinking caps on to find a way to get the 2-time Finals MVP onto the team as soon as possible. From the Phoenix Suns, the Toronto Raptors, the Miami Heat, there have been so many teams that have been reported to have interest, and I know the list of teams that are in trade talks for KD goes on. But here's the thing, I don't think Kevin Durant is getting traded anytime soon. It sounds crazy to say because in today's NBA, when a player says he wants out, that dude is on the first plane out the city in a matter of days. But KD's situation is much more different when you look at the context surrounding it. We're talking about a top 7 player in the league, arguably still in their prime, who's now currently available with 4 years remaining on his contract. Think of the situations where players ask out in the final years of their contract, and they're usually traded immediately so those teams can gain some assets back or just avoid losing that player for nothing. Like Christian Wood, formerly on the Rockets, but now in the Dallas Mavericks, is in a better situation for him to play better in his last year in his contract, and the Rockets were able to still get some assets. Better yet, look at some players that are bought out in the final years of their contract because they have little to no value with that franchise and want to move on to other situations, like a John Wall situation with the Houston Rockets, where his contract was bought out and was able to sign with the LA Clippers in free agency. But KD's situation is nothing like those situations I just mentioned. You're not getting Kevin Durant with a player option the following season and worried if you can retain him in the 2023 offseason. You're getting Kevin Durant with 4 years locked in the remaining of his contract deal, still able to produce at an elite level, and this makes any trade package to acquire KD almost unreal to fathom. Still don't believe me? As of late, there have been some big superstar deals that have happened over the past few years in the NBA that are similar to the KD fiasco right now. When you look at Paul George in 2019, he was traded to the LA Clippers, in which the LA Clippers sent 5 first-round picks, including Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Danilo Gallinari, to the Oklahoma City Thunder. The season before, in 2018, PG had signed an extension with the Thunder and was coming off the best season in his career, coming 3rd in MVP voting and 1st team All-NBA. Also in 2019, Russell Westbrook would be traded to the Houston Rockets for Chris Paul and 4 first-round picks. Not gonna lie, in hindsight, this is one of the worst trades ever, but that was the cost of bringing in a prime Westbrook who still had 4 years left on his deal. In 2021, James Harden was traded to the Brooklyn Nets, ironically to pair up with KD and Kyrie, and the Nets sent in total 7 first-round picks to Houston to acquire the former MVP, who still had 2 years left on his contract. And finally, a trade that just happened a week ago, Rudy Gobert, a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, being traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves for 5 first-round picks, including Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, and Patrick Beverley. I bring up all these examples to highlight how, as much as it sounds good to predict which team Kevin Durant will play for next year and what team he should choose to play for, it's easier said than done, people. Every player I mentioned in those examples are for sure not better than Kevin Durant, and each guy was in similar contract circumstances as well, and I find it hard to believe that the Brooklyn Nets are going to shortchange themselves into a trade that they know isn't bringing in enough value when they're trading freaking Kevin Durant. Mind you, the Nets don't even own their draft picks. Go back to that Harden trade that Kevin Durant requested that they do. The Nets can't even rebuild properly due to the fact that the Houston Rockets control their drafting assets for the next 5 years. Knowing that too makes it even more important that Sean Marks, the Nets general manager, is patient and calm in trading one of the best players in the league, which makes all the most sense to not rush into any trade that doesn't involve you getting adequate assets in return for Kevin Durant. Now, of course, there's no avenue that has the Nets winning a trade in which they're trading away Kevin Durant, but I see no reason why the Nets shouldn't play the long game and wait until they get back what they need in return for trading the Slim Reaper. And you're probably still wondering, why doesn't every team just send a Brinks trunk to Brooklyn to get KD? At the end of the day, like you said, Steve-O, it's Kevin Durant. You have to make a move. But that's the thing. Most teams interested in trading for Kevin Durant, in my honest opinion, don't have enough capital to get Kevin Durant and will be depleting their roster to do so. The Boston Celtics and Golden State Warriors were the 2 teams in the finals this year, and they both were able to succeed this season due to their depth and versatility on both sides of the floor, from the regular season and throughout the playoffs. And as we've seen as of late, homegrown talent cultivated through team development has risen throughout the league, and it might be the best way to contend in the NBA as of now. The superstar team-up wave that we've become accustomed to may no longer be necessary to succeed. And when you look at the potential trade offers that would be needed to negotiate with Brooklyn for KD, will gaining Kevin Durant be worth exhausting in trading most of your entire roster? And if we're being 100% transparent, KD is going to be 34 by the start of the new season, and has had a few injuries he's had to deal with over the past 2 seasons. Can you trust that his durability will last until he's 37 or 38? These are questions that rival GMs will have to ask themselves when thinking of trading for Kevin Durant. Also, with Ben Simmons on the roster, acquired by trade, this also limits the potential young players the Nets can obtain. The league doesn't allow teams to have more than 2 players on rookie extensions on the same team that were acquired via trade. But with Ben Simmons on his rookie extension and acquired at the trade deadline, the amount of young talent Brooklyn can receive is limited. The Phoenix Suns aren't going to trade Devin Booker, and Brooklyn has already said they have no interest in DeAndre Ayton. Miami can't trade Bam Adebayo due to the rookie extension rule, and these are the 2 teams that KD says he prefers to play for. The Raptors could trade a Rookie of the Year Scotty Barnes and deplete their depth on the perimeter, trading Gary Trent Jr. and OG Anunoby. But is that truly enough for Brooklyn to say yes? We haven't even discussed the draft pick compensation the Nets will want since they don't control their picks over the next few years, and they will need some draft assets to push them forward in a probable rebuild. To be fair or optimistic, I think the most reasonable trade package would come from the Golden State Warriors, the current NBA champions, where KD won back-to-back championships and Finals MVPs. Golden State has the young pieces to package and still have the championship core of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green that could win you titles. Adding in Kevin Durant would be reminiscent of the previous teams that won titles and to be potentially favorites again. I doubt KD goes back to Golden State though, but he doesn't have a no-trade clause in his contract, and a package of players such as Jonathan Kuminga, James Wiseman, Andrew Wiggins, and even Jordan Poole with draft capital could interest Brooklyn regardless of what Kevin Durant prefers. And another team that could aid the KD trade dilemma is the Houston Rockets. With Houston controlling the Nets' future draft assets till 2027, the Rockets could entertain trading back Brooklyn's picks back to them as their 3rd team in the trade, looking to add a young player with immense star potential to the team. Players like Scotty Barnes or Mikal Bridges could be redirected to Houston, Brooklyn gains some of their own draft capital back, and KD is sent to another team such as Phoenix or Toronto. But if no option or young player is available, I can see the Rockets remaining idle and not at the trade table. The Nets are one of the most peculiar situations that they and KD has put them in as well. They did make the mistake of putting all their chips in KD and Kyrie, hoping they can make the Nets a consistent contender in the East, but after signing and trading for players that they wanted, hiring the coach that they wanted, Kyrie's vaccination fiasco that led to James Harden wanting out and getting traded, and overall poor team chemistry, they now realize how bad these decisions were that led to this very moment. Don't get me wrong, KD isn't clear of blame. KD came to Brooklyn to have his own team, failed in that goal of delivering a title, and is requesting to be traded 1 year after signing his max extension. Nonetheless, it's clear this relationship is over, and eventually, both parties will get what they want. However, don't wait up on Woj and Shams expecting a tweet confirming KD has been traded, because he could be in Brooklyn longer than you expect. What do you think? Do you think KD will be traded before the end of the month? And which team do you think has the best package to offer to the Nets to land Kevin Durant? If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe if you're new, and be sure to turn that post notification bell on so you never miss a video. Until next time, stay on beat.